Friendship.
Hi, this is Athena and Dharmata Tara, and
we're friends.
And we're friends, and we are going to be talking about in this clip what is friendship. Because you know, a lot of times people will be like, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Okay, well, what are we? What is a friend? What's a friend? Who knows what a friend is? What's a friend to you?
Okay, what a friend to me is someone A, that I trust, someone that I love and I know loves me back, and has my back.
A friend.
Hello.
Has your back.
They're not just, what do they call them, the fair
weather friends. I like you when you're popular, and I like you when you have money, and I like you when you can benefit me and help my career.
Or you're cute, or you've got, you know like cute guys, or what I can use you. That I do not consider.
How many people have ever had a friend that used them? I have. I'm going to send everybody love. I forgive you. At the same time, it was an initiation to be heartbroken by a friend. Sometimes friendships that break up are almost worse than relationships. Did you ever break up with a friend that you just really loved?
You know, and it's interesting because I am in this review and clearing out my Rolodex, and I actually had a couple friends that actually, when I talked to them about something that they did out of integrity, they ghosted me. And
what does ghost mean?
Ghosting means that they just stopped returning phone calls, no emails.
Total avoidance.
You know.
Like, sweep it under the carpet, it never happened, and then they call you back in a year and they pretend it didn't happen?
It's been years and they're not even going to call me back. And the thing is, and I may have reached out and said, you know, I could have maybe said that differently, or hey, let's just continue this friendship. And nothing. And here's the thing, and it's sad, because I loved both of these people. One was like one of my best friends for 20 years. And you know, just recently during this Venus retrograde, I've decided that's okay. I do not need those people or those energies in my life right now. If they surface up sometime down the road or in another lifetime, great. But I don't need, because I was like, oh, that's too bad.
So what is a good friendship then?
Someone who speaks the truth. Someone who understands what unconditional love is. Someone is balanced. There's a give and take. It's not always give. It's not always take. Sometimes there's a little more give, sometimes there's a little more take, but it's balanced.
It's balanced.
And then somebody who I can count on that's going to be there for me.
In good times and bad.
Good times, bad times, funny times, inconvenient times. How many friends are only friends when they're conveniently friends?
I know.
How about the times they're it's inconvenient?
I know.
And also friends that are understanding in the sense of, because there's sometimes I might have to say, no, I can't be available because of whatever's going on in my life. You know, that's not demanding on me. That can be actually give me the space. I don't need a friend who's going to glom on and like see me as their salvation or whatever.
Right.
Someone who's standing on their own feet.
Freedom.
Or at least moving to standing on their own feet.
You know what, Khalil Gibran, the Prophet?
Right.
The Prophet. So they're fantastic film. Salma Hayek redid The Prophet, and they put all of his poems in different animations, and they had different animators for each poem, and they talked about, you know, what is love, what is friendship, and part of that was not, you know, they say don't squeeze the bird too tight, you'll kill it, you know what I'm saying, you need to let the bird fly and then come back when the bird wants to. It's like some of the friendships, because you're so in integrity and so in the same vibration, you cannot see them for 10 years and you're right back where you were. And then other times you'll see people and you'll have one blow up and then they never call you again, and you're just like, wow, nobody can express their feelings, or nobody can have a bad day, or you know how like we tweet and it's like 2 seconds? That's how the friendships sometimes can be in this digital age where like, oh, I'll just go to Facebook and find another person and
defriend you.
You're
blocked.
You know what's so funny is like that wasn't in our generation. It's only now that you can actually unfriend a person, and so it's like I never even
publicly.
I never heard of that. I'm gonna unfriend you publicly, but that happens. And so I want to stay on the positive though. So we pulled this friendship card, and I want to see what friendship is to me. So friendship to me is really like a communion. It's like a holy communion. It's like when I find a friend, it's almost like coming home to a certain part of yourself, that friend feels like an aspect of your soul. So there's sympathetic resonance. There's that integrity that okay, if you look at auras, they're like little cones, and there's like, let's say just 7 major ones. And when you see Barbara Brennan's pictures and the people are standing against each other, our cones are like touching each other, our auric fields. And then something really amazing, when people really have affinity and love for each other, your aura comes into mine and it makes the heart shape, when two people are next to each other, looking at each other, which is where that heart comes from, because the real heart doesn't look like this heart, but the aura does, because the people's auric egg come in, and then where the crown chakras are, it makes that little, Cupid heart at the top. And so, yeah, honesty. Will they love you with all your flaws? You see what I'm saying? Like, are you unconditional? Which means you're allowed to. I'm giving you permission. But everybody, you're allowed to have a bad day. You're allowed to scream and freak out.
You're allowed to be you.
You're allowed to be you, and I'll hold space for you and remain the witness, the sacred witness for your trauma or your pain, and not just abandon you because you're having a bad day. And at the same time, that you also love your friends, and when you say you're there for them, that you really are. And what does that mean? It means, well, first of all, if you're there for yourself, which you are, and I am, you can be there for other people. And when you have that type of a friendship, I'm going to show you this card, you actually kind of see the same thing. You see love everywhere. You see unity everywhere. You see divinity everywhere. And on those realities, you can really create a heaven on earth. So things that people can do to strengthen their friendship.
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Continue to show up with transparency. Continue to, and the transparency is like, oh, I'm having a bad day and I really shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry. Or transparency is like, oh, that really felt weird that you did that and I'm feeling gross about it. Instead of like, oh, you did that, I'm not going to say anything. I mean, it's that transparency, it's honesty. It's basically, I feel I'm able to be naked and honest with you.
And vulnerability and intimacy.
But you don't feel vulnerable with someone you don't feel safe with. So that's what I'm saying, there's got to be trust.
So and trust would be the foundation of the friendship.
Trust should be foundation, but here's the thing, is that trust gets broken. I mean, I've broken people's trust, but it's like, if I see a willingness on their behalf to then show up, hear it, and I listen to them, so it's, listening, communication is both way, hearing and communicating clearly, and they're willing to see that, and then we're willing to, like, okay, so let's move this forward, but that means less of this and more of this, that which is trustworthy, then I'm willing to go forward. Because I've had some that are like, oh, are we on the brink? But I see a willingness on their part.
And then you hang in there.
The other ones that and they hang in, but both people have to be hanging in there, and both people have to want to do the work. Because one side is like, that's codependency. But both people showing up and continuing to do the ride, even though it gets wonky at times, but getting back into the rhythm.
Right, and I want to say this. Dharmata Tara is amazing, and she also is an emotional mediator. And for some of our spiritual friends in our collective, she has been asked and highly regarded to sit and mediate when two people that are also in integrity and high love have been triggered. Because a lot of times we go out of integrity with ourselves and with our partners when we're triggered and people can't hold space. So you actually hold a very high space for both people's oversouls to raise up and take responsibility for their side of the street. And that must be sometimes challenging.
Well, and because the other thing is, because I did have that recently, and the way I approached it, I didn't approach it whether or not they stayed together. I was not invested. I was invested to them returning to love. And I was invested into them to healing.
Right.
So however, if they, whatever, as long as that wisdom, and I invested to holding the space so they could both feel heard. So no one's over cross-talking over each other. So then once that person was heard, then that person knows had their chairs, and then I asked them questions, and then they answered it, and then they chose to continue their path of love, actually deeper because of that moment. And again, I'm not invested if you do it or not, or how, if you want to do it as lovers or boyfriends or not. But I'm invested that you guys are committed to loving your higher self and healing, because you're going to take that forth to any relationship.
Any relationship. And would you say that it's paramount to have a friendship in your love relationship? Like, how important is friendship in your foundation? The foundation.
I mean, trust. If trust is a foundation, because as you know, lovers is a continuation. That's the one thing we share with our, that extra partner. But, after that hour, maybe even 2 hours of lovemaking, then there's hours a day that what else you do? You're communicating, you're doing things together. That's the friendship part. So it's a partnership that is basically a friendship, but you've included into it that lover part of it.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So the
Right.
foundation is friendship, and the lover part is the icing on the cake.
Is the addition to it, right? That's
Right.
how I see it.
And okay, that would make a lot of sense because we're in America. Whoever's watching this, no matter what country you're in, and we have a more than 50% divorce rate here in America. Why? Because
And even higher here in LA. Go figure, Hollywood, huh?
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So, and I think it's because people marry for different reasons, and it's not based on friendship. They're not marrying their best friend. Now, you mediated for people that married their best friend, which was amazing. But a lot of times we choose people for their money, for their status, for their beauty, for their looks.
Safety, security.
And then what happens is, and you've been through this with your other friends, nasty divorce. What happened to the friendship? Like, how can you treat somebody like that after you made love to them? Like, we do crazy things to people that we've actually been intimate with that we would never do to our friend. And so we treat them worse than we do our friends. So I like the way you said, this is the foundation.
Well, I always stay friends with my exes. If there's any exes out there that say that's not true, come forward. But there is one person that actually did me a really wrong. It was a very short-lived thing. And one of those people that owed me money. And I said to him, I was the one that didn't owe the money. I wasn't the one lying and cheating about things. But I said, it started in love, let it end in love.
Aww.
And he loved that quote. He was like, I want to start in love, then I'm forgiven. It's like, no, you still owe me the money. But let's do it in a loving way.
Right.
So there's not one person that, whether it's 5 years, 3 years, or 6 weeks, that I've not brought my integrity forth. And hopefully, and again, it's never gone nasty. So I do believe it doesn't have to go there.
No.
But both people have to be willing to be there. But I think if one really holds a standard of love and forgiveness, it's easier
for the other person, yeah.
Exactly, because they're not feeling threatened, and they're not like, the money and this and that and the greed. I mean, that whole thing.
Yeah, that's all. That's like the cap on the toothpaste. It's really never about that. It's usually about the insecurity and the triggering of the childhood wounds, and the I didn't get mine, and then they project, and then they're reacting to the projection, and so the whole
the
thing
basis
goes.
of not enough. There's not enough love. There's not enough money. There's not enough something, and so then there's
So
this
we
sense
are
of
in a
hoarding.
program where we're intentionally put in this dimension, in this program, to transcend out of our lower nature and ascend into our higher qualities, like you said, trust, integrity, faith, love, and blessings. And now we're at 12 minutes, so we're gonna have to wrap up this clip. But friendship, I would say, is one of the best things. One of the best things that I've experienced in my incarnation, that being a mother, is to find incredible friends because you feel like you're at home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you could have the crappiest thing happen to you, and over a cup of tea and a really warm heart, you just feel like no matter what's going on, that you're going to be okay. So friendship to me is a piece of heaven right here on earth.
Invaluable.
Yeah.
It's invaluable.
Thank you for your friendship.
Thank you.
Call your best friend today and tell them how much you love them.
And call your mother and your father and tell them you love them.
Yes.
And forgive them.
Yeah, and if they're not here, then pray to them.
Yeah,
Light a
they'll hear
candle
you
in their
wherever
name.
they are.
All right, blessings.
Bye.